Welcome to the review of Infinite Stratos Season 1. Now onto the episode. All My Classmates Are Female begins with a boy named Ichika joining IS Academy. Ichika meets his teachers Maya and the other teacher who is also his sister Chifuyu. Ichika speaks with his childhood friend Hoki. Ichika meets one of his classmates named Cecilia. Ichika and Hoki get assigned the same dorm. The class learns of a representative they must elect for the upcoming tournament. All My Classmates Are Female ends with Cecilia challenging Ichika to a duel. Class representative selection match begins with Ichika getting his own IS made for the match. Hoki trains Ichika. Ichika and Cecilia's duel begins. Cecilia wins the duel. Class representative selection match ends with Hoki planning to teach Ichika more. The transfer student is the second childhood friend begins with Ichika and Cecilia training. Ichika becomes the class representative. Ichika and the others meet a new transfer student named Lingyan. Cecilia and Hoki get jealous of Lingyan for being Childu's friends with Ichika. Ichika trains with Hoki and Cecilia. Lingyan gets upset at Ichika and Hoki. The transfer student is the second childhood friend ends with Ichika taking on Lingyan as his first opponent in the tournament. Showdown. The class league match begins with the match starting. An IS unit interferes with the match. Ichika and Lingyan fight the IS unit. Cecilia helps Ichika and Lingyan defeat the IS unit. Ichika learns what happened to Lingyan's family. Showdown. The class league match ends with Chifuyu and Maya looking into the IS unit that interfered with the match. Boy Meets Boy begins with Ichika hanging out with his friends Dan and Ron. Maya informs Ichika and Hoki that Hoki will be changing dorm rooms. Hoki asks Ichika to date her if she wins an individual tournament. The class gets another male transfer student named Charles. Ichika's class trains with Lingyan's class. Cecilia and Lingyan lose in a match against Maya. The classes have practical training. Ichika has lunch with Charles, Hoki, Cecilia and Lingyan. Ichika and Charles become roommates. Boy Meets Boy ends with a new transfer student named Laura joining the class. My Roommate is a Young Blonde Nobleman begins with Ichika losing a match against Charles. Laura gets upset at Chifuyu. Ichika learns that Charles is actually a girl. Ichika learns that Charles was sent to spy on Ichika. Ichika plans to keep everything he learned a secret. Ichika hangs out with Charles. My Roommate is a Young Blonde Nobleman ends with Laura planning to get rid of Ichika. Blue Days Red Switch begins with Hoki thinking about her past. Cecilia, Laura and Lingyan train. Chifuyu stops matches from happening until the tournament. The upcoming tournament has teams of 2. Maya kicks out Cecilia and Lingyan from the tournament for their damaged IS units. Ichika teams with Charles for the tournament. Blue Days Red Switch ends with the tournament starting. Find Out My Mind begins with Ichika and Charles facing off against Hoki and Laura. Laura thinks about her past and how she wanted more power. Laura powers up. Ichika stops Laura. The tournament gets cancelled. Charles tells Ichika that she plans to stay at the academy. Charles tells Ichika to call her Charlotte from now on. Charlotte reintroduces herself to the class. Find Out My Mind ends with Laura kissing Ichika and planning to marry him. Ocean's 11 begins with Hoki asking her sister Tabane for a personal IS unit. Ichika and Charlotte go shopping. Cecilia, Lingyan and Laura follow Ichika and Charlotte. Ocean's 11 ends with Ichika and his classmates going to the beach. Towing the Thin Red Line begins with Ichika and his classmates hanging out at a suite. Chifuyu speaks to Hoki, Lingyan, Cecilia, Laura and Charlotte about Ichika. Tabane arrives at the suite. The group meets Tabane. Hoki gets her own IS unit and tests it out. Chifuyu learns of a rogue IS unit. Chifuyu brings Ichika, Hoki, Cecilia, Charlotte, Lingyan, Laura, Maya and Tabane with her. Towing the Thin Red Line ends with Chifuyu ordering Ichika and Hoki to go after the rogue IS. Get Ready begins with Ichika and Hoki starting the mission. Ichika and Hoki fight the rogue IS. The duo fails the mission. Ichika gets injured. Hoki remembers first meeting Ichika. Hoki plans to quit. Lingyan stops Hoki from quitting. Get Ready ends with Hoki, Laura, Cecilia, Charlotte and Lingyan going after the rogue IS unit. Your Name Is begins with the group fighting the rogue IS. Ichika has a dream. Hoki gets injured. Ichika wakes up and joins the fight. The group defeats the rogue IS. Chifuyu speaks to Tabane. Your name is ends with Ichika talking with Hoki. That was Infinite Stratos Season 1. Now onto my final thoughts. Starting with the good, the characters all played a part throughout the season. The story was alright. Now onto the bad, the cliches and the overall plot isn't original compared to when this came out in 2011. Overall I would give it a 7 out of 10.